Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to my long-term December Daily 2020 project. I had the goal, just like a lot of folks, to get this album done by December, and I'm just barely squeaking in under the wheel. But what I wanted to say was that there really aren't any deadlines, and anytime that you complete an album is worthy of celebration. So I'm going to walk you through my process for days 21 through 25 for this album. I'm so excited to jump back in and complete this album. It has been sitting pretty dormant for a while, and then I picked it back up in November for a little bit, and today's the day we're going to finish it. So for the 21st, if you remember, we had a special planetary event where Saturn and Jupiter were aligned in the sky and visible to us from Earth, and they called it the Great Conjunction. And so at the time, one of our children, Natalie, was very interested in astronomy, and Natalie had an app on her phone that let her track what was visible in the sky, what was not visible in the sky. And so this was a really exciting event for her and for the rest of us as people who love Natalie. And so we took time with her to make sure we got out to see that. We didn't have the best view of it from North Carolina, but that's okay. And I think we went the day after the biggest day. We didn't make it on the best day, but that's okay. I still was able to capture a pretty cool photo of them looking at the stars through the phone. And so that's my photo for this day. And then I had the back of day 20. And day 20 was our visit to a local neighborhood in Greensboro to see lights. And it was a full page photo. So on the back of it for day 21, I'm going to do a little filler page. And I've done this in the past. It's a lot of fun. Just to do a little kind of collage here. And so I started with this crepe paper cut apart sheet and just cut a piece of that to fit the insert, and then I'm going to layer on some of the chipboard pieces. So the storage container you see is from Sterilite. I usually find those at Target. Sometimes Walmart has them as well, or Michael's. I love them because they have different sized bins in them, and it's divided, and you can take them out and sort of reconfigure in a couple of configurations. What I had already chosen to use for this page that was sort of the spinoff was that half round piece from Ali Edwards with the constellations. And so I used that as the driver for the color palette. And I felt like this cut apart sheet from crepe paper let me pull in some of the other colors. And so I'm just going to add a couple of little pieces. I'm going to put my number here using the little round 21. That's from Celine Studio, and that was from her Numbers December Days collection from 2020. Just a simple 21 in a circle, and then I put it inside that wreath and added a little tiny star. I used some of the word strips from the chipboard pieces. I throw all my chipboard pieces all together, so I don't know, like, those are probably from crepe paper, but I don't know exactly which collection they would be from. So I kept that really, really simple and just fun. It was just an opportunity to play a little bit with product. And then I'm going to apply my photo here to the back of the circle. And what I did was I printed the photo just in a horizontal orientation to fit across the circle. And funny story, it was just a little bit short. So I centered it, and then I'm going to pretend that it didn't happen. You could go back and just trim. I could go back and just trim the little star paper so that it matches, right? And then it wouldn't even matter at all. And I don't think it's really that noticeable. And so that was a good use there of the back of that photo, and also kind of creates, what it creates when you look at that photo is it sort of hones in on what's important in that photo. I hope you'll be able to see it. Of course, I'll have more photos on the blog at theresamoxley.com, and you'll be able to see up close what these photos look like and how these pages turned out in more detail. And so this is the title page. I decided to add the Great Conjunction here using these wood grain alphabets. I think they came from Pink Paisley from a year or two ago. And this page felt nostalgic to me. It reminded me of the days that we made our own album pages and we made our own titles. And so that was kind of fun, just to play here, just playing with product, using it up, and kind of enjoying the last few days of creating this album before I call it done. I was going to put the number at the top again, but I decided not to. One, I needed the space for the title here, and I wanted to remember. I wanted to put this big title because I wanted to remember what we called it, or what the media called it, or whatever. Just that it was a cool little event, didn't you think? I thought so. So for the photo here, I had a little bit of blank space, and I'm just going to add some labels, some little embellishments, just do a little tiny cluster, and this ultimately will serve for my journaling. It kind of makes me laugh now to look back at it, because I had a whole back of the 6x8 page, and I had the whole front of the half circle, and then I just put my journaling inside this little tiny label. But that's okay. Sometimes that's how it works out. Remember, too, that your product can be part of the storytelling as well. And that, I think that's what is happening here on this page and on these pages. And so it's a lot of fun. A lot of what I'm using here is from Ellie Studio. The label, the little banner there, and this little word strip, all from Ellie Studio. And so once I have all of that done, I'm going to add just another little star, and then we'll get to move on to day 22. So for day 22, I had a couple of 3x4 photos, and I wanted to tell this story about making chocolate-covered strawberries. And I decided, originally I was going to do just a 3x8 page protector, but I decided to expand it to the 6x8 page protector, and I wanted to use these beautiful acrylic 2s. They're from Color Cast Designs. They were a limited release, so they aren't available any longer. But I wanted to just put those twos in the pocket and let there be sort of a see-through element here. I'm going to add a couple of stars to the twos themselves, and then I'm going to work on filling these little pockets. And so I'm working with the Studio Calico Northern Lights Documenter Kit. And I had this in my stash and hadn't actually planned on using it in the album. So this was a fun little opportunity to grab it last minute, grab it and get it in the album and be able to use some of these cute little cards and things. I'm also using an older Paisley Press stamp set from the December Daily product releases, just from a previous year. Those are always a favorite of mine, and they always get used. So I'm going to work with taking a cue from the red in the numbers. I'm going to use this little red and pink buffalo check card. I'm going to layer a second card on top of it and add my journaling, and then just adhere that across the bottom. And that's a fun way. Double up your cards, use more, get more in the album. And then I'm just kind of looking for a way to decorate the seam here where the two cards overlap. And so I'm going to use this cute little stamp. I think this one was from Kylie in Kentucky. And just stamp this little hat. Notice how I'm using another journaling card as the background for the stamp. And that way your hat has a little bit of pattern to it, or in this case, a little bit of color. And then these chipboard pieces are always a great addition. So I'm going to add that and then slide it in the pocket and consider that done. And then for the back, I'm just going to do these two photos. This tells the rest of the story about how much fun it was creating these chocolate covered strawberries. Y'all, I just think that I need to go work at Godiva. That's all. I think that's really where I need to go. Where I need to go work. But alas, I'll just continue staying here and making humble little YouTube videos. But my ideal job would be to work at Godiva and do all the chocolate covered strawberries. That would be my ideal job. So, but I had so much fun. And then of course, the children had the best time consuming the strawberries. We didn't really use a recipe or anything like that. So, we just got the chocolate candy coating and melted it, put it in a bag, and dipped the strawberries, and then we drizzled the white chocolate on top. It turned out gorgeous. And so then I decided to finish up here. I'm gonna add a few more sequin stars to these pockets. And at this point, it's official. I'm gonna have to seal the twos inside these pockets. And so what I decided to do was to grab my trusty sewing machine and seal that up in red thread. But I'm not going to do that yet because I think I'm going to have some more stitching on some of the other pages. So I'm going to hold off on that and move forward here to the 23rd. And the 23rd here is more stories of making cookies. The cookie tradition is something that I am slightly obsessive about in the month of December. I love baking different cookies. I love the look of a big old cookie tray on the counter with lots of choices and options, and and all the yummy textures and colors and tastes, and I just love it all. So we had done some traditional sugar cookies, and then Emberlyn and Natalie decorated those one night. And so that's the story for this page. And I was going off of, or I was using inspiration from Crystal Idionate, who had done the diagonal tag page. At least that's who I always think of when I think of this diagonal tag page. So that's where my inspiration came from for this page. But I wanted to use those star labels that were in the Ali Edwards main kit. And so when I built the foundation page, I originally had the 3 star labels and then the white placeholders for the photos. And this worked out great for this story because there's space for three photos, which is a great way to tell a story. I made sure when I was selecting my photos, I showed one of their faces so that we see who the layout is about. I showed one of the cookies in progress, and then another photo of the cookies being served. Again, because that's my whole thing, is just having those plates of cookies. That makes me so happy. It's one of my favorite things. So for the labels here, I'm going to use one of them for the number so that you know when you look at this page what day we're talking about. And so just a note about my numbers. I get asked all the time, how do I have all these numbers? And I will tell you that this comes from collecting over the years, somewhat obsessively. And a lot of them are from Celine's studio. If you're interested in digital numbers and using digital products that you can reprint every year over and over again and use as many times as you like, those are a great option. The ones that I decided to go with are these gold Felicity Jane numbers, and so they worked out perfect. They just gave a little bit of pop off of the page, and that seemed to be what this page called for at this point. It's a sort of muted color palette. The white stands out really nicely for the labels. So I'm glad I had that, and then the number gives a little bit of metallic pop there. I stamped the lines on the labels using just an older, very old Becky Higgins roller stamp, and then wrote in those notes, and that finished that page. Day 24, I'm going to leave as it is. Day 24 is a full page photo of the children before Christmas Eve and before the Christmas Day festivities began. And I added a Ali Edwards overlay to say 24 at the top. And then I also had the star divided page protector that I created when I created my foundation pages, and I just left it the way it was. The number 24 is already in the pocket, and that was all that day 24 really needed. For day 25. So for the Celine Studio design team last year, I created this adorable little traveler's notebook to document the 25th. And I think that this is now my favorite way to tell the story of the 25th. And I'm going to repeat this this year again and for 2021. And it will probably become a tradition for me in my albums. And so what I did was I took 4x6 journaling cards, pulled them into 8.5 by 11 canvases in Photoshop, and laid the notebook out so that I could print it front to back. And then I just ran the pages through the printer. You'll have to gauge your own printer, how to size it, where to place the cards. But I just made it a little foldable booklet and then added the stitching. What I loved about this was that it gave me a great space to add a couple of photos, more than one photo. It also afforded great opportunities for journaling, using some of the journaling cards in the Celine Studio collection. Of course, I'll link to these products in the blog post, so you'll be able to find that information there. And this was just a great way, you guys, to tell the story of the 25th, to make notes about what some of my favorite things were. And notice how I just strictly added photos here. No more embellishments. I kept it very minimal. The notebook just speaks for itself with those beautiful icons and the beautiful colors and patterns that the journaling card already afforded us. One last touch will be that I'm going to add the number to the pouch and let the traveler's notebook live inside the pouch, which was from the Star Kit from last year as well. And then this day will be complete. Okay, so I thought I would just pop back on here and walk you through what those last few pages look like in the album and let you see it completed. I will also be sharing a full walkthrough of the album on my channel and on my blog tomorrow. So I hope you'll join me and take a look at that. Of course, there's a playlist for this album series, so you can follow the process from beginning to end. If you are new here, and I just want to say welcome. So day 22 was, of course, all about the chocolate covered strawberries that we had made, and so I added the 2s and just slid those into a pocket with some more stars, and used a simple Studio Calico journal card and added a little bit of journaling. The back side is more photos from the fun of consuming those strawberries. And you'll notice I went ahead and stitched the pockets closed. I just wanted a little touch of red there using the red stitching. And then for day 23, I used the little labels that were included in the 2020 main kit. Those were perfectly scaled for a diagonal layout like this, and so I alternated label, photo, photo, label, label. Added my number. The 23 are some Felicity Jane numbers from the past. And I also added a little bit of zigzag stitching to that page. Day 24, I kept very simple and used an Allie Edwards overlay over the photo of our children. And of course, I had done the star pocket page last year when I did my foundation pages. And so I left that just as it is. And for day 25, I had created a little traveler's notebook for the Celine Studio creative team. And so I decided to put that in the Liz Tamanaha pouch. Well, actually, that's not Liz Tamanaha. That was the pouch from the Star mini kit last year. And so I added little tabs onto the edge of that so that I could put it in the album. I then also added the 25, little wooden 25. I think that's probably from LA Studio. A little tree and another little star. Those have all been hot glued onto the pouch, and the star on the pouch and the star on the notebook are both reminders of the stars that are on the cover of the album, so they sort of tie in that way. And so for the notebook, this I have found is one of my favorite ways ever to document the 25th. And so I just took 4x6 journaling cards, printed them back to back onto 6x8 paper, cut them out, folded them, and stitched them into place. I added some journaling cards, very minimal embellishments here. The focus is just simply the photos, and this gave me the opportunity to include a little more journaling, include more photos from that day, and tell the story of that day in a kind of a fun way. In the past, I've typically done the 25th in pocket pages, but I really liked doing it this way, and I will probably do it again this way this year and in the future. And I love the size of it, the little 4x6 size, and just how sweet everything looks all put together. I did have the little pom-pom attached to it, and I decided that that made it a little bit too bulky when it's inside the pouch, so I just put that there, and that way it can still be in the album, just not there inside the pouch. So that completes the album for 2020. I just want to say thank you so much for following along with this process. This has been a year-long album project for me this year, and I'm so excited to have it done. It has been wonderful to get to know you better and to hear your words of support, to know that you've been inspired by this album. Thank you so much for following along, for leaving your lovely comments, for asking questions, for being curious, and for supporting this wonderful community. It's an honor every year to share this process with you. It's a pretty intimate look into our lives for the month of December, and I'm just excited to share it every year. So stay tuned for the full album walkthrough. And again, thank you so much, and I'll see you again next year. Bye-bye.